Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Jason, certified financial planner and host of Fighting Words Financial. Today I'm going to talk about something that I don't talk about a lot, but I'm probably going to start talking about a little bit more, and that is some of my thoughts on some individual stocks. Now, I do want to preface this by saying none of this is financial advice. You have to do your own due diligence. I'm not advocating that you go out and buy or sell any security based on what you hear in this video, but I am going to tell you about what my experience is. So, another thing, guys, that I wanted to get across, 80% of my personal investments are in ETFs. I don't do any stock trading per se. The other 20% is mostly invested in individual stocks. I will buy a stock and almost never sell that stock. It's just one of my personal tendencies. I recognized a long time ago something that Warren Buffett said, that the stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. So I tend to buy a lot of stocks and not do a lot of selling, and that is a strategy that's worked out quite well for me over time. Today we're going to talk about NIO. NIO is an electric vehicle maker out of China, and I do need to preface this. I do have a position in this stock. It started off as a small position because I was a skeptic, and to some degree I still am a skeptic, but since its IPO I've continued to add to my position over the last 2 years, and now I feel that they've kind of turned a corner. So I'm going to cover some of the negatives, and there are some big negatives in this story here, and towards the end of the video I'm going to share with you the two biggest reasons that I feel that NIO will succeed long term. It has everything to do with something called Guanxi and everything to do with Tesla. And I'm going to go over what Guanxi is, and we're going to talk about why Tesla is going to kind of spur NIO into becoming the dominant EV player in China. And we're going to talk about why that's almost certainly going to happen. So first of all, NIO is an EV maker, and they're often called the Tesla of China. But NIO is not the Tesla of China. In fact, Tesla isn't the Tesla of China, right? They actually sell more vehicles in China than any other EV company does. NIO might not even be the top EV maker in China itself. Now, NIO, the name of the company means blue sky is coming. It's a cultural thing. In China, it means good times are coming. And the translation may be a little off on there. But they claim to make a car that is comparable to a Tesla for roughly half the price. Now, I'm not sure that these two companies should really even be compared. Tesla sells you a great car and a great driving experience, but what NIO sells you is significantly different, and we're going to get in that later. Right off the bat, I want to address this. A big deal has been made out of the fact that both Baidu and Tencent, a couple of really big firms in China, have invested in it, and a lot of investors seem to think that is a huge positive. Well, I guess it's a positive because they helped float the company during some rough times last year, but it doesn't necessarily inspire me with a bunch of confidence. I'm not convinced that either Tencent or Baidu is really investing in this company because of its long-term proposition or long-term value. I think they may simply be looking to extract value from the company as the stock rises, and they may dump their investment as soon as they can. Other challenges for this investment are the fact that NIO does not make its own cars. It actually relies on a state-owned car manufacturer to produce all of its vehicles. So all of its manufacturing is entirely outsourced. Now, this sounds bad, but there's actually another company that outsources almost all of its manufacturing, one that you probably, you use their products at some point, and that company is Apple. I think that the single biggest factor that kind of holds me back and keeps me skeptical when it comes to NIO stock is just the fact that it's a Chinese company. Let's face it, Chinese companies have a long history of fraud and scandals on U.S. capital markets, and the accounting situation with Chinese companies can only be described as opaque, since communication standards are often very, very poor, proper verification doesn't hurt, and Chinese companies often treat their financials almost like they're state secrets or technology secrets, right? We have plenty of examples where, especially back in the early 2010, 11, 12, 13 timeframe, we have plenty of examples of companies that got onto U.S. markets through reverse mergers like ChinaCast, China Media Express. These are two companies that were exposed by their famous short seller Muddy Waters, and they ended up being complete and total frauds. Additionally, earlier this year, Luckin Coffee, which was billed as the Starbucks of China, once again, it's not the Starbucks of China, but it was billed as that, but they turned out to have a lot of fraudulent sales numbers that were kind of manipulated to make the company look like they were selling a lot more. There was an 89-page report that was written and it was sent to Muddy Waters. It was based on thousands of hours of observation, and they were able to kind of pull the veil back on what was really going on in the company. And the coffee company, Lookin' Coffee, was actually delisted from from U.S. exchanges earlier this year. All of that causes me to be cautious, right? And that's the reason and the fact that most Chinese stocks trade at a discount when compared to the U.S. competitors. This is partly due to the fact that American investors don't fully trust those Chinese numbers with justification. If China continues to allow companies like this to deceive American investors without punishing the perpetrators, it's going to have an increasingly difficult time tapping the US equity market. All right, guys, so let's talk about the second quarter results that came out last week for NIO. They were far better than expected. And while I am going to talk about them a little bit right now, I'm actually not going to dwell on them forever, because the two reasons that I think that NIO is really going to succeed in the future don't have as much to do with current quarterly results as they do with the long-term planning that NIO is doing. First of all, it's second quarter of 2020. Everyone expects those numbers to be bad because, hey, it's the pandemic, and hey, it was China. They were hit pretty hard and had some pretty strict lockdowns. So let's talk about those numbers. They did beat expectations. NIO delivered 10,331 vehicles in the 3 months ending in June 2020. This exceeded their quarterly guidance. NIO delivered 3,740 vehicles in June. That is a new monthly record and represents a strong 179.1% growth year over year when compared to June of last year. Both numbers are significant improvements over NIO's horrible showing a year ago, further evidence that the company is back on track after running dangerously low on cash earlier in 2020. Excluding some one-time items and expenses, NIO lost 16 cents per ADR, or American Depository Share, beating the consensus analyst forecast as reported by Thomson Reuters, which predicted a loss of around 26 cents per share. NIO's second quarter revenue was $526.4 million, which was also above the consensus estimate of roughly $504 million. Stronger than expected sales gave NIO its first ever positive gross margin for a quarter, 8.4%. A year ago, in the same quarter in 2019, the gross margin was negative 33.4%. This represents an incredible gain over the last year. Some people, including myself, are questioning whether or not this is real. I think that only time is going to tell. NIO's vehicle margin, which is kind of a special metric, was calculated using revenue and cost of sales from its vehicle sales only. It has other things that it sells, like services, and they even have like an apparel line and some other product line. But that was just for the vehicle line alone, that was 9.7%. Versus negative 24.1% in the second quarter of 2019. Once again, this is a significant improvement. Year over year, Q2 loss narrowed from almost $500 million in 2019 to only $164.2 million in Q2 of 2020. And let's remember, guys, this is in the middle of a pandemic. In other positive news, NIO also closed a strategic investment deal with economic development authorities in China's industrial heartland province of Anhui in April. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Under that deal, they're going to receive a series of cash infusions as it completes certain milestones. So far, it's received 2 of those installments in cash from the investors, which is this economic development authority group, for a total of 5 billion yuan, which is roughly $707 million. NIO has now a war chest, which is something they didn't have before. It's got a cash position of roughly $1.6 billion on hand at the end of June 30th. Look, guys, all of this is excellent news for NIO. And at this point, I feel like they've found their path forward to profitability. I don't think it's going to take 16 years for them to become profitable like Tesla did. I think it's going to happen a lot more quickly. And in many ways, it's because NIO has the example of Tesla to follow. While I'm not exactly jumping up and down with excitement about NIO yet, because I do have a significant position in this company, I am now convinced that the wild risk that I took has gone from a pie-in-the-sky dream to a real possibility, and we're going to see some serious compound growth from this company over the next decade. Some of that has to do with rapidly improving company fundamentals, but a lot of it has to do with things that are unique to China and the segment of the Chinese market that NIO is unabashedly targeting. NIO really is targeting this new class of innovative entrepreneurs. NIO, as a Chinese company, is really charting a new way forward when it comes to creating a really large, big ticket item like this. NIO is going to be successful by being a success in China first, and then by exporting their vision to the rest of the world. This is kind of a sharp contrast to how many Chinese companies have emerged on the world stage in the past. What you may not know about the Chinese auto industry is that Chinese automakers already make more than half of the world's electric vehicles, and more than half of the world's EV market is already located in China. China wants to be a leader in what they call new energy vehicles and autonomous technology. That's NEV and autonomous technology. Now, we all know in the past that Chinese cars have been exported. They've got a bad reputation, they have bad product reviews, and the products that they just put out have been very, very subpar. Not so with NIO. NIO is a company that produces good cars with good reviews. Now, NIO cars are only available in China to consumers, but they have been exported to other countries and reviewed extensively outside of China. The reviews compare favorably to other high-end electric vehicles, even to the Tesla. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth into the reviews. You can definitely look into those yourself, but the 3 production models are favorably reviewed, and there's reviews in English, in German, in French, in Spanish, all across the internet. So the 3 models that are out there right now that are well reviewed are their first model, the ES6 5-seat SUV, which gets good reviews across the board. The newer ES8, which is a 7-passenger SUV, which only came out a year ago, but actually has better reviews than the ES6. And the EP9, which is a 2-seater, super sleek performance sport car that has set some records in the past that recently got broken by Volkswagen. Now, all 3 of these vehicles are first-generation vehicles for NIO, and as a first-generation product, they are extremely well-received and well-reviewed. Now, are they going to compare quite as favorably to the top-of-the-line vehicles that are out there? Probably not. There's going to be some challenges, and the company is definitely working on those. Now I'm going to start talking about what some of their real competitive advantages are in China before I get to the 2 final ones that I think are really going to seal the deal for this company, right? The first one is their battery swap technology. This is something that Tesla flirted with here in the United States and ultimately decided not to develop it because battery technology was improving so much. Now, I'm telling you that battery swapping technology and battery swapping stations are going to be far more important in China. And here's why. Population density. Even people that are fairly well off and can afford a $60,000 electric vehicle live in apartment blocks in China. They may be very, very nice apartment blocks in China, but they don't have the place or the room to set up a supercharger and charge their car at home. So even rich people live this way. So there are charging stations set up all over Shanghai, all over Shenzhen and Hong Kong, set up to aid their consumers, right? But NIO also has this functioning battery swap network of 131 stations where batteries can be swapped in under 3 minutes. Now, there's an attendant in that little station, but the process isn't completely automated. The attendant just goes in a little room and pushes buttons, and there's a bunch of robots that switch out the battery for you. This network right now is strategically constructed to connect Shanghai to the capital Beijing and to the Pearl River Delta. The Pearl River Delta is the world's largest urban area with, when you combine all the cities there, it's 57 million inhabitants, and it's the economic powerhouse, where Shenzhen and Hong Kong are located. So they've concentrated first in putting their infrastructure that supports their vehicles, their battery swapping technology, their charging stations and their supercharging stations. They put those all in areas where they know they have the best economic opportunity to succeed, and they have the largest amount of customers possibly concentrated in the smallest area on the entire planet. One of the next big advantages, and to be honest with you, I watched the reviews, but I'm not really sure how much of an advantage this is yet because I don't speak Chinese, right? So their Nomi AI. Nomi is the artificial intelligence technology that's built into all the NIO vehicles. It's claimed to be the first in-car AI system in production. Nomi can pull up cars' navigations, control music, and unique to NIO cars, it can take selfies of passengers in the cabin, it can pull up the curbs for you and pick you up. For right now, it's only in Chinese. That's why I'm not really convinced about the reviews until I can see someone doing it in a language that I understand. I understand a couple of languages. It's only in Chinese right now, and Chinese is not one of the languages that I understand. Another big reason that NIO has a leg up when it comes to competition, particularly against Tesla inside of China, is the heavy subsidies. The bottom line is that China is an environmental wreck and they have no fossil fuels. I'll say it again. China is an environmental wreck and it's severely polluted, and they don't have any fossil fuels. China is pushing new energy vehicles and has granted significant subsidies because they have to. Unless they just want to be buried in even more smog and be more dependent on energy imports, subsidies are going to have to be there. Now, subsidies have declined recently, but many experts believe that the decline in subsidies was a strategic move on the part of the government. They want to put some pressure on the Chinese EV industry and force the cream of the crop to rise to the top. And NIO just might be the cream of the crop. Time will tell. So next I'm going to get into some of the aspects of the company that are definitely unique to NIO that we don't really have any way to compare this to something here in the United States or in Europe. But NIO has all of these social aspects and perks of ownership that go along with purchasing a car, like the NIO house and the NIO app. NIO is selling a lifestyle just like Tesla is, but they're doing it even more so in a lot of ways. Now, a lot of lifestyle brands fail in any country. It's always a huge risk to try to create some sort of lifestyle brand. But here's why NIO is going to succeed. NIO ownership equals access to a social community and an exclusive club. First of all, when you order your NIO, you put your order in, you've actually made your down payment. The app that you have connects you to a social network which alerts you to events and networking events, speeches, and forums at these places called NIO clubhouses or NIO houses or NIO spaces. I'm going to get into that in just a minute, right? So when you go into any NIO house, the downstairs of the house looks just like any other swanky vehicle showroom. They're going to have, their polished vehicles down below. Maybe they'll have, their concept Eve car, which is going to be their fully autonomous AI-run vehicle that's supposed to be out in the next couple of years. We'll see if that actually happens. But it looks just like any other vehicle showroom, high-end vehicle showroom, a lot like Tesla. When you go upstairs, it is a whole different story. The upstairs is either going to be what's called a NIO house or a NIO space. The NIO house and NIO space are a clubhouse for NIO owners. They're always located in very expensive real estate, usually shopping districts where the affluent go. The purpose of the NIO house and NIO space is lifestyle branding, but at its core, it's also a place for NIO owners to feel at home doing business with people in their peer group, and more importantly, to make new social connections and business connections with other NIO owners. The best description came from a friend of mine who's actually living in China right now. He called it a bit like a Tesla store crossed with an Apple store, crossed with a Starbucks, crossed with a WeWork space. He said to think of it as a combination of a social club around car ownership and a WeWork collaborative workspace with the Silicon Valley startup energy that WeWork only dreams that it has. The NIO house locations offer bookable meeting rooms and shared workspace. They feature forums and events with experts on a variety of topics. The whole idea is to inspire innovation. The living room space is a social space to relax and meet like-minded individuals, hopefully for future business collaboration. There's also always a library, which is a quiet place to work or read. The NIO house also always has the NIO Cafe. It's a place that serves their signature coffee. It's staffed with expert baristas. That's why we say it's kind of a cross with Starbucks as well. I think importantly for a lot of people is the Joy Camp. The Joy Camp is a supervised play area in the NIO house for children so that parents can drop them off and work in the NIO house undisturbed or even go shopping nearby. Now I'm going to talk about the most important factor in all of this, why the NIO house and the NIO space is going to make them a success in the long run. It has everything to do with a social concept called Guanxi. Guanxi, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, I might not be, but Guanxi in Chinese, really the word just means relation or related. The subtext of that is that social connections and social relationships described as Guanxi are arguably the most important thing you need to get ahead in life in China. Now, there are some people that say that the Guanxi has declined in importance, but it's still very, very important in China today. Guanxi plays a part in pretty much everything from getting your company needed permits from local government officials to getting a table at a popular restaurant. Basically, we here in the West we call it having the hookup, right? Guanxi also refers to the network of favors and help that you're obligated to give and can call upon to receive. It is a ladder for power and profit in Chinese society, and it's been around for a very, very long time. And everything that NIO is doing with the NIO house and NIO space is providing you ways to make new connections, both societal connections and business connections, and help you climb that ladder of power and profit in Chinese society. Now, I don't know how the NIO House and NIO Space concept will be exported outside of China. Now, it can certainly be done in all of Southeast Asia where there's a Chinese business diaspora. I don't know if an idea like this will work in Europe. I have my doubts about whether or not it would work in the United States, although if they focus more on the collaborative work environment that goes along with being a NIO owner, maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know if this idea is applicable outside of China. But in order to be successful, NIO needs to be successful in China first before they can start really, exporting their vehicles, to foreign markets in a big way. The second really big reason that NIO will probably end up coming out on top when they go head-to-head with China is the possibility that Tesla might get banned by the Chinese Communist Party. There are already rumors they might get banned because of Sentry Mode. The excuse is that all the cameras that are used in Sentry Mode, they collect data and they're going to be banned for national security reasons because all of that data is housed overseas in the United States. I think we all realize that the real reason that China would probably do this is that China wants to be a leader in autonomous tech and a leader in electric vehicles, and it's not going to allow an American competitor to dominate the Chinese market. So China doesn't necessarily need to outright ban Tesla in order to make it a lot harder for them to compete against homegrown Chinese companies and give companies like NIO the breathing room they need to succeed against a well-funded monster like Tesla. Anyone who spent any significant time in China or any other country with a thousands of years old state bureaucracy knows exactly what I mean. Red tape can be printed by the mile by petty officials to make life very difficult for Tesla in China without overtly banning them or passing any laws that make things very obvious. NIO is rapidly becoming not just a status symbol among an emerging class of elites in China, but it's also a symbol of Chinese dominance in the EV and autonomous technology space. I feel strongly that this is going to be a huge contributor to its long-term success as a company. They're going to continually get subsidies, preferential tax treatment, and outright help from different government agencies and investment groups all over China because they are directed to by the government to do so. Now, in order for this to work, they still have to produce a superior product, or at least a good product. Right now, it appears they are doing that. Hopefully, we see them improve in the future. So, like I said before, I'm not unbiased on this. I have a significant position. It started out as small. I was a skeptic. I've added to it over the years. You should do your own due diligence on this. For a long time, I thought that NIO might be a scam like some of these other companies because I've actually known people that have been to the NIO House, to the NIO Space. I know at least one person in China that actually owns one of the vehicles. I mean, it's a real company. Whether or not their numbers are real, I can't really tell you. But I do think that China's commitment to being first in the space of autonomous technology and electric vehicles makes this a very attractive confluence of events, pressures, and tendencies here. I think that this company is probably going to be a success. It's a long-term journey though. I'm talking 10, 20 years down the road. But anyway, those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think below in the comments. If you think this is a scam or you think NIO is going to blow up and pass up Tesla one of these days, let me know what you think, guys. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.